Since the dawn of humanity, human beings have been fascinated with the idea of an subterranean civilization. Greek, Celtic, and Nordic mythologies recount the existence of an entire civilization living in a completely different world beneath our own. The possibility that Earth is hollow and that secret civilizations are thriving inside the planet has stimulated people's imagination for centuries. Who are these strange beings? How did they come to live inside the Earth? Where are the access points leading to their underground cities? Many explorers have searched for these entrances, and some have managed to enter the hollow Earth. This enabled him to uncover the existence of a wonderful subterranean world, populated by beings who are different than surface humans. They are very calm and peaceful, in addition to being the bearers of great ancient knowledge. Thus, intrepid and brave men ventured and traveled to the North and South Poles, with the intention of being the first to discover and conquer those icy areas of the planet. Among them was Admiral Robert Peary, as well as Dr. Frederick Cook, both North Americans, who in 1908 and 1909 respectively, claimed to have discovered the North Pole. And although his findings were not entirely convincing, U.S. Admiral Peary's own Eskimo guides believed that he was on an expedition to find the great people of the North, from whom they were descended. It is also known that the records of the first explorers of the Arctic and Antarctica are full of anomalies. And many of the reports of these Arctic explorers support the theory that the Earth is hollow, with openings at the poles, as explained by the writer William Bryd in his book, The Phantom of the Poles. There is also the case of Norwegian fisherman, Olaf Jansen, who in 1829, together with his father, managed to penetrate the unknown lands of the North Pole. According to the American writer Willis George Emerson, Jansen bequeathed him a manuscript and several maps of his polar adventure shortly before he died. This manuscript claimed that giants, aged between 400 to 800 years old, inhabited that intraterrestrial cavity. Additionally, the Norwegian, Roald Amundsen, who led the first expedition to reach the South Pole, disappeared on June 18, 1928, while flying over the Arctic Ocean, in search of some companions. Nineteenth-century Arctic explorers make references to vast freshwater lakes and warm temperatures in the north, beyond the lands they explored. They also reported of dust clouds, extensive areas of pollen-stained snow, birds and animals migrating north for the winter, vegetation and mammals, such as the gigantic mammoth, supposedly extinct and found frozen in icebergs. Although censored in its time, the most famous example of hollow Earth exploration and discovery is that of American explorer, aviator, and Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd, who recounts flying across the South Pole and entering into what he believed to be the pole's interior. He soared over crystalline lakes and rivers, and flew over fields brimming with vegetation, where all kinds of animals pastured under the mild, warm sun. His experience is considered one of the most mysterious expeditions in history, yet it is also the most highly censored. He describes penetrating one of the poles, in the following terms: that enchanted continent in the sky, land of everlasting mystery. Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd was a distinguished aviator and polar exploration pioneer. He flew over the North Pole on the 9th of May 1926, and would direct numerous expeditions to Antarctica, including a flight over the South Pole, on the 29th of November 1929. In 1947, he was flying over the North Pole during one of his expeditions, and had reached the center of the Arctic when he found himself involved in a strange event. During his fourth expedition, he would write of these experiences in his log, and, according to his account, it is possible he accessed some kind of interdimensional portal. The Rear Admiral's diary begins as follows.
I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight of the 19th day of February, in the year 1947. There comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation. Perhaps it shall never see the light, but I must do my duty and record it here, for all to read one day. In a world of greed and exploitation of certain members of mankind, one can no longer suppress that which is truth.
He goes on to recount the following in his diary.
Vast ice and snow lie below. Note coloration of yellowish nature and disperse in a linear pattern. Altering course for a better examination of this color pattern below. Note reddish or purple color also. Both magnetic and gyro compasses beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Take bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond, and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion, they are mountains consisting of a small range that I have never seen before. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley, with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning like crazy.
With great surprise, he continues.
I alter altitude to 1,400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn, and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet, there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed, it is definitely a mammoth-like animal.
After making that surprising discovery, the Admiral would continue describing the journey.
Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing on our heading now. Navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. Countryside below is more level and normal. Ahead, we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a strange symbol. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English, with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is,
Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral, you are in good hands.
I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. Another radio message received.
We begin the landing process now.
And, in moments, the plane shudders slightly and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. Several men are approaching on foot toward our aircraft. They are tall, with blonde hair. In the distance is a large, shimmering city, pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me, by name, to open the cargo door.
I comply. After these notes, taken from his logbook, the Rear Admiral would note the following.
From this point, I write all the following events here, from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radioman and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us toward the glowing city with great swiftness. As we approach, the city seems to be made of a crystal material. Soon, we arrive at a large building. That is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. Still in awe, the renowned Admiral would continue. We are given some type of warm beverage, which tasted like nothing I have ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, 2 of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters, and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radioman behind, and we walk a short distance, and enter into what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops, and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by a rose-colored light that seems to be emanating from the very walls themselves. One of the beings motions for us to stop before a great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot read. The great door slides noiselessly open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. Have no fear, Admiral. You are to have an audience with the Master. I step inside, and my eyes adjust to the beautiful coloration. That seems to be filling the room completely. Then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is, in fact, too beautiful and wondrous to describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. My thoughts are interrupted, in a cordial manner, by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality.
I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral.
I see a man with delicate features, and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs.
The Admiral is attentive to everything that is happening, and his account continues.
After I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again, and conveys the following.
We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known on the surface world, Admiral.
Surface world? I half gasp under my breath.
Yes.
The Master replies with a smile.
You are in the domain of the Ariane, the inner world of the Earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond.
Rear Admiral Bryd was surprised at what was happening, and very attentive to the message being relayed to him. The master continued speaking.
But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Flugelrads, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, Admiral, but I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral.
I interrupted. But what does this have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments he replied.
Your race has now reached the point of no return, for there are those among you who would destroy your very world, rather than relinquish their power as they know it.
I nodded, and the master continued.
In 1945 and afterwards, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our Flugelrads were fired upon. Yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So, now, I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury, that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled, and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken?
No, I answer. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came, and they lasted for more than 500 years.
Yes, my son,
replied the master.
The Dark Ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see, at a great distance, a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures, and they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again, to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then, you will have learned the futility of war and its strife, and after that time, a certain part of your culture and science will be returned, for your race to begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message.
Greatly moved by the message received, he would write the following in his diary.
With these closing words, our meeting seemed at an end. I stood for a moment, as in a dream, but yet, I knew this was reality, and, for some strange reason, I bowed slightly, either out of respect or humility, I do not know which. Suddenly, I was aware that the two beautiful hosts who had brought me here were again at my side. This way, Admiral, motioned one. I turned once more before leaving and looked back toward the master. gentle smile was etched on his delicate and ancient face.
Farewell, my son.
He spoke. Then, he gestured with a lovely slender hand, a motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly, we walked back through the great door of the master's chamber, and once again entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward, and we were at once going upward. One of my hosts spoke again. "We must now make haste, Admiral, as the Master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with his message to your race." I said nothing. All of this was almost beyond belief, and once again, my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped. I entered the room and was again with my radioman. He had an anxious expression on his face. As I approached, I said, "It's all right, Howie. It is all right." The two beings motioned us toward the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft.
Richard Byrd's diary account continues, as he writes the following.
The engines were idling, and we boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now, with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by that unseen force, until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return way. I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving along at a very rapid rate. A radio message comes through.
"We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free. Auf Wiedersehen."
We watched for a moment as the Flugelrads disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control. We do not speak for some time, each man has his thoughts. We are again over vast areas of ice and snow, and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them, they respond. We report all conditions normal. Base camp expresses relief at our re-established contact. We land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission.
The next passage in Byrd's diary was written sometime after this extraordinary experience.
The 11th of March 1947. I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the Master. All is duly recorded. The President has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of the United States of America. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. It was hard for him to follow such a difficult order.
And the diary contains one final log entry that reads,
the 30th of December 1956. These last few years elapsed, since 1947, have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret, as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values of moral right. Now, I seem to sense the long night coming on, and this secret will not die with me. But like all truth, it will triumph. This is the only hope for mankind. I have seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit, and has set me free. I have done my duty toward the monstrous military-industrial complex. Now, the long night begins to approach, but there shall be no end. Just as the long night of the Arctic ends, the brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall in its light. For I have seen that land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown.
The surprising tale of Admiral Bryd ends here. Many people remember the exciting press statements that followed Bryd's expeditions, announcing the discovery of new lands, while being hailed across the country as a true hero. His accomplishments were recognized by the authorities. His expeditions to Antarctica, a total of 6, earned him fame as a great explorer and discoverer. He even carried out meteorological, auroral and scientific investigations of a very diverse nature. He also constructed exact maps and plans of the regions through which he passed, and for all this Bryd was decorated with the Medal of Honor of the Congress of the United States of America. He was paid a huge tribute for being the first to have flown over the North Pole and discover new lands beyond the poles. However, after his statements, all the accolades, fame and his notoriety quickly faded. The media stopped talking about Bryd and his wonderland, and the people forgot all about him. Why did this happen? Did Bryd really discover a civilization more advanced than our own, in another dimension, or parallel universe? Why did they turn their back on him after his incredible discovery? Let's not forget that this has happened with many other explorers, scientists, researchers, doctors, who have made revolutionary discoveries, many of them for the good of humanity and its progress, but who have nevertheless been silenced and forgotten, and their discoveries destroyed and hidden so that they cannot benefit people in general. As we have seen, the best account of a hollow Earth journey was written by American Rear Admiral Richard E. Bryd. But his exciting discovery was immediately censored and silenced by the quote-unquote usual suspects to keep us in ignorance and darkness. But the truth has come to light. As evidenced, it was deliberately covered up, since everything linked to stellar space, or having extraterrestrial origins, is not made public. Instead, they twist the facts, in order to continue deceiving the unaware masses, and to prevent us from evolving. However, a growing number of people are experiencing an awakening, since they no longer believe the scam, or give credence to the vile farce, supported by these perpetrators, who fear we will discover the wonders of our planet, and consequently, stop idealizing them, and their deceptive technologies. Our objective is for the evidence to come to light, in order to help all people of pure and noble heart, who yearn for an awakening, so that they can become aware of everything that has been hidden from them, for centuries. We hope that everything we have discussed herein will be useful, and of great help to everyone. Undoubtedly, evidence points to the existence of highly evolved beings, with advanced technology, who are living in peace and harmony inside planet Earth. In this case, they have made their presence known, though the well-known, widely esteemed Admiral Bryd. On other occasions, they have done so via renowned public figures, scientists, farmers, simple and noble individuals, who have been contacted in different eras throughout history, and the response is always the same: to invalidate and discredit their evidence, and to portray them to the world as crazy. However, the truth is that there are beings of intraterrestrial origins, and extraterrestrials, on other occasions, are masters guided by infinite love. They warn us of the dangers we are facing, cautioning us about the consequences of our actions, and how what we do can affect our lovely planet, which is our home and theirs, in addition to impacting other worlds and dimensions. They are alerting us of the difficult times we are experiencing, whilst providing us with guidance, since they have always been waiting for us. These are superior beings who, just like true brothers and sisters of a cosmic fraternity, are watching over and taking care of human beings, to help us with our delayed evolution. We are talking about high-frequency beings with an awakened consciousness, who are working from the interior of the Earth in silence, with all their love and wisdom. Beings who are by our side, although we do not see them, and who guide us internally in the struggle that is being waged today, the fight of light against darkness, a heavy darkness that has infiltrated our planet, but does not belong to this world. Beings of light that give us hope that we are not alone in this battle, and that a future of light awaits us. Indeed, despite current difficulties and the harm being caused, when the chaos that plagues us through falsehood and hypocrisy against humanity has passed and darkness is defeated, we will cross over to the other side, and there will be a new world dawning, a golden age of light, which will transform the Earth into a paradise, where humankind can live in harmony and eternal happiness. But first, we must keep fighting as true dissidents, and in total disobedience against all the measures that are damaging our lives and those of our loved ones.